Hi, welcome back to the workshop for the continuation of the Rickenbacker 620 12-string build, and in this episode we're going to be tackling what can be one of the trickiest jobs, getting the binding fitted. Doesn't necessarily go well. Okay, so by the end of the last episode we actually had something that was starting to look an awful lot like a guitar. However, for the next stage we have to kind of take all that away and get back to basics again. So we'll get rid of all the controls and the pickups. And we'll get the fretboard off. Because now it's time to get the router out and get the rest of the binding channel cut and see if we can get some binding installed on this thing. And to achieve the binding route, I'm just going to use the small router and my super fancy Radian Tools binding router bit. This comes with a range of little bearings that enables you to cut for various sizes of binding, but it's a 3 flute cutter, which just kind of really reduces the risk of any tear out. So that's a great thing to have. Now the issue I had when I was kind of trimming this to size was that it all got very, very tippy in this area because there's only this tiny little section of top to balance the router onto. So just to counteract that, I've just cut a couple of little bits of MDF. They're ever so slightly below the surface, but that realistically won't make too much of a difference. It will just stop things from kind of getting too out of shape. So nothing for it really, was just to get this clamped down onto the bench so it's not moving all over the place and get these channels routed in. Okay, so that's all of the binding channels routed. Always a little bit of a heart in the mouth moment getting those done, but we seem to have done okay. And the binding fits in absolutely lovely. So that's great as well. However, there are a couple of little issues that I need to address before I go any further. And that is namely these two horns. Now this horn, there's a very tight radius on there, and I'm really not sure that I'll be able to get the binding to go around that. Maybe with a bit of preheating we will. The trouble is, as you bend it around tight stuff, it kind of thins the binding down, because obviously that is being stretched and you're losing your material from the thickness of the binding. So it might be that we have to kind of join it right on the tip of there. This one, it's almost a 90-degree angle there. I can't see any way on earth that I'm going to get my binding to go around that. But in the name of experimentation, I'm actually going to have a try. So I'm going to get the hairdryer out, see if I can warm a little bit of this scrap binding up and get it to go around these corners. I don't hold out much hope, but if you don't try, you'll never know. Well, that's actually surprised me, because that has gone round. And if I could get it to stick in like that, I would actually be quite happy. It looks like there's a little bit of a gap in here, but I think that's actually just because it's stood off a little bit and the masking tape's proud. But it's actually gone in quite nicely, and I think it's close enough that once it was installed, if there was a little bit of a gap, we could get some binding goop in there and make it look good. So I think I might actually go with that. And this one has just gone round beautifully. There's no trouble whatsoever there. There isn't even a hint of it thinning out, so very happy to go with that one too. Now, the last time I did binding for the fretboard on this guitar, I actually stuck it on with acetone. And the technique I used was I taped it very much like it is here, and then I ran acetone in with a syringe and kind of taped it into position. And that did work very well, but there was quite a lot of acetone sloshing about and it did get a little bit messy, but nothing we couldn't deal with. However, when I aired that video, a few people said that they actually put their acetone on with a brush and then tape the binding in position, and that is a lot less messy. So again, in the name of experimentation, I'm going to try both methods when I do this, and we'll see which one is better, which one creates less mess, and which one works best for sticking the binding on. Now, normally when I do these jobs, I actually start the binding from the base of the guitar and work my way around. So I'll start in the middle of the binding, and usually that means I've got enough material when I get to the ends. However, in this instance, I think that wouldn't be the best way to do it. This is my biggest point of failure. If it's going to go wrong, chances are it's going to go wrong here. So my thinking is, if I start at this end and work my way past the point of failure, the rest of this should be, fingers crossed, quite straightforward. Now, the only thing that does worry me a little bit about this is that bending that has actually changed the colour of it. I don't know if you can see that. And that wasn't noticeable when it was on the guitar. So that makes me wonder if this is going to be the best way of doing that after all. I think it is a case now of just joining it on that point. It doesn't have to be absolutely spot on perfect. If there is a tiny little bit of a gap in there, we can soon fill that with some goop, and I think ultimately that's going to be the better way of doing it. Having said that, I think I will just continue the way I said I was going to and kind of work from this end and work my way around. I'm going to do the first bit with the syringe, see how that goes, and then once we've got past halfway, I'll go to the brush and see if that works any better. Okay, so I've had 2 goes at doing this now, and every time I've put some acetone in with the syringe, it's just broken. So I'm going to go with the brush for this little bit. I've pre-bent this with a bit of heat, and I'm just letting that cool down now, so hopefully that will hold its shape and we can get it stuck in third time lucky. Okay, that seems to have got it this time. Now, what I'm going to do from here is I'm actually just going to snip this kind of flush with the end of this horn. And the reason for that is the join will then be underneath the horn area, so it's the place where it's least likely to be seen. And I think perhaps the best way of doing that is just with this little razor saw. Here we go. Now this looks like it's going to go around that corner okay, but I'm going to do it with a brush just in case. And I think from there I can now just get this kind of loosely taped into position, and we can go with the syringe method for the rest of this half of the body. Now that is what I would describe as suboptimal. And of course, anyone who was paying any attention at all will understand the mistake I made. And that is, having gone about the top horn in a different manner, I then transferred my biggest point of failure to the bottom horn. And what I didn't do, which was what I said I was going to do, which was handle the biggest point of failure first. Instead, I've left it to last, and it's all gone horribly wrong. It might actually be the case that on really delicate areas like this one, super glue is the better way of going about it, because it won't melt the binding in the same way that the acetone will, and you won't end up with that break. My hope is that I'll be able to stick the two ends of the binding together and, if necessary, fill them with some goop, and no one will be any the wiser. That will be another little challenge for me. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give this 10 minutes, let it all cure up, and then we'll take the tape off the rest of this and see how we've done. And in terms of how it's gone, generally very well. There's a little bit here that needs a bit of rework, and there's a little bit down the bottom just there. But apart from that, the rest of it has gone down beautifully. I'll get you some closer shots in a second. Okay, so I'll let this all kind of dry off for a bit, and as you can see, we have got a problem there. But I'm going to see if we can fix this up. And I'm going to use a trick that I learned many, many years ago in a former life, and I'll talk you through that as we go. But first up, I'm just going to get some acetone into there, hopefully not too much, and I won't burst off the rest of it. And what I've actually done is I've got 4 layers of masking tape there, because there is actually a lot of tensile strength in a bit of masking tape, and if you get enough of it together, it can make a nice strong clamp. Now, we used to use this back in my days in the composite industry, and if we were mitering a panel, 3 or 4 layers of masking tape was enough to pull it together and hold it until you could get some reinforcement on the back of it. and hopefully it'll be enough to hold this while that acetone sets up. Okay, so I've left that for quite some time now. So we'll just get this masking tape off and see how we've done. Now, there is a bit of a mark where the join is, but from what we had, I think that is a very good result. So I'm going to cover this up again. I've made another one of these little clamps out of the 4 bits of masking tape, and I'm just going to leave that for a good few hours now and let that dry up absolutely rock solid before we do anything else to it. So all in all, I think that's been mostly successful application of the binding. It's gone on very nicely and mostly looks absolutely brilliant. A couple of little bits that need fixing up, but I'm going to leave that till the next episode. I think we've done more than enough for this one. So as always, like if you've liked, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you in a few days' time. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.